What's good, y'all?
It's your girl Cymphany.
It's your boy Jordan.
And we back with another movie.
So, today we wanted to start a discussion about what it's like to deal with, arguments as a new couple, as a new married couple, as Christians, basically, how you should go about it. And I don't know, we wanted to make this video as human as possible. Meaning, yes, there will be, theology in there, but we understand that some of our viewers don't, all live the same way. And I don't know. I basically want to make this video feel free for everyone, and or rated E for everyone. But yeah. So, how should we start this off? Like, what topic should we start? As far as,
I feel like technically especially when you are beginning to like be around each other a lot more frequently, and even when it starts, like technically it starts in the relationship, and then once you make that commitment to marry and go begin that step of marriage, I feel like the stigma is that you already know each other. But in reality, you don't, because you're still learning about your partner. Like, it doesn't even matter how long you really been married. Every day, every year that you guys are together, you are literally still learning who your partner actually is. And you will begin to recognize, like, habits and the way that they talk, what's their biggest thing that makes them upset. And every day you may learn that it's actually something new. And I feel like as Christian women, we always try to be the Proverbs 31 woman. And there's nothing wrong with being a Proverbs 31 woman. But in reality, though, you have to understand the foundation. And it will be hypocritical for us as women, when we're trying to be a Proverbs 31 woman, to feel like we are not going to be quarrelsome, that we're not going to be like this, because in the beginning you probably are going to be a lot more quarrelsome, but as you continue to grow and develop in your relationship, then the arguments don't disappear, but it will start to become less. Because I know I don't want to bring her up, but I gotta bring her up. But like when we were back in Florida and we were living with my in-laws, his parents, just watching his mom and how she dealt with so many different things in her marriage, and the arguments and this and that, she reached based off of what they told me way back when, yeah, she'll bite back, but she started to reach a point where she just stopped biting back, and the thing that she did was she went and prayed. That's what she did. And even when she was, because ironically enough, she was teaching me certain foundations in the beginning of our marriage. And it was just an honor to be with her and to experience her in that way, because she still was teaching me certain things as well too that I didn't fully understand. And now that we are in a different first of all, different state and everything, I can tell that a lot of those habits have still stayed with me, knowing that we are not where we were before. And so I just feel like it's so easy to be like, oh, we're not gonna fuss, we're not gonna fight, we're not gonna this, we're not gonna that. It's not gonna be something that's gonna happen overnight. But the main thing is, you need to know, you need to pray. You need to make sure that you are actually praying, and not just praying for everybody else, but you need to be making sure that you are praying for your husband, and vice versa, husband's praying for your wife, and you also need to be praying for your marriage.
Can I pivot off that? So I'm glad that she said that. Like, make sure you're praying for your spouse. That topic goes broad. Prayer. It's actually the main thing. What I've kind of realized is, before even a marriage, let's not act like everybody is like holy and sanctified. Some of y'all is boyfriend and girlfriend right now, but you still clicked on this video. You're not excluded out of this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna talk to y'all. Stop going to your homeboys.
And stop going to your homegirls.
Some of y'all will go to your coworkers that you just recently met before you even, I don't know, like, I get it, because let's call it space. Sometimes we don't even need like a response. Sometimes it's just a vent. You know what I'm saying? But venting still comes with consequences. I've had to learn that. And I don't really. I'm not gonna say I don't vent. You know what I'm saying? I do. I'm human, but I leave out most of it, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But even that, I still have to go against that. I would rather pray first. And you know what I'm saying, read my Bible. Not just read my Bible to find something to help me with the argument, but just read my Bible to meditate and bring me back to, you know, a center state of calm and peace. You know what I'm saying? I've come to realize just praying by myself is way more resourceful than talking to somebody else who's in a relationship that they're not happy about, or talking to somebody else in general that is just going to give me a human response, or just going to give me a response just to say the right thing. Yep. Nowadays, you got, you know, everybody's so focused on saying the right thing. It's to the point where we're even monetizing off of saying the right thing. Like, I don't know. It's just praying for your spouse, praying for your spouse while you're married, but also praying before that. Praying for your spouse before you get your spouse. Praying for the one before they get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I just want to throw this out there because I don't have it here. I think it's still at my parents' house, but way back when, with the like when I was with my oldest son's dad, so my ex, there was a book that his mom told me to buy, and it's actually by Joyce Meyer, and it talks to you about how to be a praying wife. I know probably a lot of you, I'm pretty sure some of y'all may not have kids, and that's fine, but you can still utilize it, because you may not have children now, but somewhere down the line you may have kids. So that book, it literally has 3 different sections, and that book it did help me a lot. And I remember one day I was looking for it, like, and it was like within the last few years I was looking for it, and I was like, I don't have it, and I'm pretty sure it's at my parents' house, but but it's to the point that I want to buy it again, because because Joyce Meyer talks about her story and everything that it is that she has gone through, and that's something that she has always been vocal about being in ministry, is the things that she's gone through, with her husband before they had kids, when they had kids. Joyce Meyer has a very, very powerful testimony about her life, and I don't care how anybody feels about her in terms of everything else, because in the end, that's just what it is. But
she still had an impact. She's not like all evil. You know, God was still able to make His impact through her. So it's not like we can't throw away. You
can't throw away the things that she has accomplished, because she's done a lot.
And she's been doing this for years. Let's call it spade.
So you know she just reached a certain standpoint now where her messages have just been a little bit different. But that's besides the point. But I would highly recommend, especially as women, that book gets purchased. You can literally purchase it off of Amazon. And no, we're not sponsored by Joyce and anything like that, but it was just something that came to my mind, because I was like 20 years old at the time when I bought that book for the very first time. And I was a new mother. Like, I was a bit all over the place during that portion of my life, and that book actually helped me a lot, to the point that actually I think I'm gonna buy it again. But that is always something that I did, and something that I will always recommend. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man. Get into your closet and pray in your closet. Find a space where, even if
the bathroom or on the toilet.
Don't
overlook the toilet. Them toilet prayers, they hit.
Literally.
God be like, I got you. All right.
But there was a movie that I watched called War Room, and it has a Priscilla in it. Pastor Priscilla. That's her name, right? That's her name, right?
I think.
Okay, anyways. But even that movie, literally fairly recently, as we have been getting a lot more closer to God, I have really been leaning into watching a lot more Christian shows and watching Christian movies and all this other stuff. But I used to do that. I used to watch Christian movies because I went to a Christian. I actually went to a school that was non-denominational, but you can literally tell a lot of us were Christian or whatever. But you can just tell because one of the first movies that I ever watched was Fireproof. I don't know if I know that movie, but that movie, yeah, it's sad, but there's still so much in it to the point that when I went home, I made my parents watch it. So, but all I'm gonna say is definitely search for that book. What I'll do is I'll find it and then I'll probably just link it in the description. Like I said, I don't even have an Amazon storefront, so I'm not even doing it for that, but I'll definitely see if I can find it again. I got it off of Amazon the first time, and I will put that in the description. I highly recommend as women that, you guys buy that book because there's so much in there that she puts that is very helpful.
Most of the time when it comes to, as I won't really say we men have a lot of that, but for sure when it comes to women, there are a lot of mothers of faith, to listen to, and so before or after this video, if you know what I'm saying, like she said, it would definitely help. There are a lot of people out there that would, lead you guys in the right path. It's important that women, get in community of other women, especially other women of faith, and share. Community is definitely important. Which is, back to that subject of, venting and ranting. It's very important that you choose the right community to vent with.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And to me, community can just be one person. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's very important of who you can, communicate with.
But don't replace that community. But don't replace
with
God with the community, because at the end of the day, we should always be going to Him. Period.
Like, listen, one thing about, which is why I say, like, just sitting on the bathroom toilet got across, because, that's what, speaking back to my mother,
that's what she used to do.
That's what she was doing. That's what she used to do. And, everyone, I noticed, what I've come to realize, especially after her passing, when I sit there and I listen to everyone's perspective of what she was like and this and that and the third, it's like a lot of people talk about her from a position of, it's like I don't know. It's like they try to put it in this basket of she got weaker, but it's funny. What I seen, she got stronger. Because listen, that woman, as a child, I would watch them two go back and forth, and it would 2 minutes later, instead of trying to keep it a daily long thing, a daily long battle, she's done. She ain't saying nothing, but she ain't going in the corner pouting, scrolling through social media, and not, giving him the silent treatment for the rest of the day. Now, I'm not saying she was up in his face saying, "Hey, sugar, what do you want?" No, but my mom would start singing some songs. And I know that's the last thing my dad wanted to hear. But I would sit there and listen to some hallelujah. Like, I'm hearing in the bathroom, I'm hearing songs being sung. I'm like, oh, did I do something? Somebody did something, because she's singing something. But after that, after like 2 choruses of whatever song she was humming, she'll hum while she vacuuming, hum while she doing the dishes, hum while... We could be in the car. I could be in the back seat after the argument, and the humming is happening. A different song is playing through the speakers. And she's not even on that timing. Like, she's humming whatever she's humming, because whatever she's humming has something to do with whatever is happening, whatever just happened not that long ago. So we could be listening. So in Florida, we got something called Z88.3. Orlando to be exact. The Z88.3 could be playing some Kirk Franklin, I don't know, some Stomp, and she's sitting there humming some CeCe Winans or whatever it is. Or like, she's on... or a hymnal. Most of the time it was a hymnal. But that's what I'm saying. Like, folks, instead of it really isn't that hard. It's really not that complicated. Somehow we have been dumbed down to not know the remedies, but the remedies is actually right in front of you. It's right in front of you.
Listen, pick up that Bible.
Man, look.
Like,
hold
pick
on.
up.
I didn't, let me tell you something. Yes, I was raised by my parents, and when I was born, my dad was getting his life right. And so, yeah, I experienced that. But I still had to develop my own understanding of the right thing, right from wrong. Because my parents were both in ministry, a lot of that effort was being put towards the ministry. It was being put towards the congregation. It was being put towards the discipleship. For me, I was just expected to be right because I was behind that. Those were my parents. So off rip, I should know what's right from wrong. That was not the case.
I do feel like as I do have to say that when it comes to preacher kids, I do feel like y'all get treated like y'all supposed to be like on a certain
we're not human.
Level.
We don't get treated like we're human beings. It's like there's an expectation behind it off rip. Look, when we got married, things was not always like they weren't just rainbow and sunshine 24/7. When they were good, they were great, but when they were bad, oh my gosh, I wanted to peel my skin. Instead of taking myself to my homeboys, I remember our first time, and this was before we were married, just a little bit before we were married. I just remember getting into something that did irritate me to I felt rage, being honest. And instead of doing what, a normal bro would do, I was like, man, what would my mom do in this predicament? She would start humming, or she would start praying under her breath. So what did I do? I started praying under my breath. I literally started to imitate my mother. And I'm like, God, look, I know you brought her here. Like, everything around our relationship, it wasn't by accident. So I know you gave her to me. So you need to fix it because you brought her here. Look, if you gonna bring her here, you gotta, come on, God, I need help. Because if I get involved, I'm gonna let my flesh come out. I'm gonna get mad. I'm gonna say the wrong thing. I might be right, but the way I say it, the way it might come out, I'm gonna be wrong. Somehow I know I'm gonna be the bad guy. I need you to get involved before I get involved. Handle her before I do. Because I don't know what I'm gonna say, but whatever I'm gonna say it. 30 minutes later, she apologized. Now, I'm not saying that this woman doesn't apologize, but it ain't the first option. Second, it might be in her heart to apologize, but she won't do it right away because there's a little bit of that she is sorry, but it'll be hard for her to vocalize that off rip. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not emotionally intelligent, your first thing would be like, you ain't apologized, so you must not care. You know what I'm saying? No, I understood that. And I started laughing. I was like, so this prayer thing, it really does work. And that prayer I had on the toilet. I didn't even use the bathroom. I just sat down on the toilet. I was so mad. I sat down on the toilet and didn't use the toilet. I just sat there praying. I was mad, man. Because when I get mad, I'm pretty stupid. I say some pretty stupid stuff, even, no matter how right it is. I can be wrong. I can admit that. But the prayer worked. But as she apologized, I apologized. And she being petty right now, but I didn't just apologize it wasn't just oh, you sorry? No, babe, come here, I'm sorry too. No, I reflected. And I realized that my arrogance because sometimes, guys, you can be justified. And remember, this is going to be for the rest of your life. I realized that I might have felt like I was right or I was in the right at that time. And let's say I was. But how I went about it, that wasn't even the script no more. So now we're both wrong. Now, I don't want to be cliche and say two wrongs don't make a.
But it don't.
But a right and a wrong don't make me feel right either. So, no, I'm just kidding. Look, I reflected and I realized that, okay, all right, cool. And so I apologized for I went wrong. And we chopped it up, but that has to be your first thing. I will say this, you can't pray when situations happen. Don't just pray because our whole point right now is praying and getting in your Bible and stuff like that. But a lot of the time we pray when the things come. We pray when the arguments come. So then arguments have to be a constant reminder to remind you to get closer to him. If you would just get closer before that happens, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying your life will be peachy and cream, but the devil would have to find a new place to affect you because the barrier is too thick. The wall is too. You see what I'm saying? But if you're constantly just waiting till when Jordan and Cymphany has an argument, now Jordan goes, now he starts praying, or we have a disagreement, and now I choose to open my mouth. Oh God, God help me! Like that's it. You're doing yourself a disjustice.
Yep.
You gotta pray ahead. That's why I say you have to pray before you find that person. Don't just pray, God, I want to get married. Or, God, I feel like Jordan is wrong today. Or my husband, you got to pray ahead of that. Because they're going to happen. They're going to. This is the rest of your life thing. And so if you constantly go throughout your marriage that you plan on having for the rest of your life, and we're talking for y'all young, for the new people, for the newly married, for the people who just got into this thing.
But I'm pretty sure there's probably some of you that have probably been married for a long time, and there's still ways that you guys are are stuck into. So
no, 1,000%. But look,
but obviously the foundation.
What I'm saying is for y'all that like, if this is gonna be for the rest of your life thing, and I understand, yes, I know that there are some vets in here, and y'all can learn from this too. But my heart in this subject is leaning towards the new. This is for the rest of your life. If you're finna go through every back and forth that y'all have and stick on this hill of and die on this hill of I'm right all the time, no. Because, and you might as well skip past what we just said. Forget the advice. Because you pray, you read a few scriptures, you realize God will show you just how wrong you are. You got to remember something. We have a faith where we were wrong from the get-go. We blew it.
Yep.
He came, died for us, forgave us.
Shout out to Adam and Eve. Shout him out.
He came and died for us. You was wrong off rip. You had it in your mind that I'm cool. I don't need Christ. But in even though you was wrong, he still did the right thing. He didn't, man, forget them. No, he still. You see what I'm saying? So if you view how Christ lived his life, and you go through your marriage with that mindset, and you stop trying to live on this, I was right. You see what I'm saying? That's a lot of what it is for men, for us as, as guys. Sometimes we all right, but you're not right all the time, dog. You're not. You definitely are not. And if you want to live with somebody like this, you better acknowledge, even when you is right, dog, you ain't right. No further comments.
I highly recommend, and something else too is recommending counseling. Mm-hmm. Definitely recommending counseling. And then for those of you that are kind of like the engaged stage, I would highly recommend premarital counseling. And I would go for a counselor that has the foundations of God in them. And that's not worldly, because you also have to be mindful of that to,
not every advice is the same advice. Good advice.
Not just like we say, not all money is good money. Well, not all advice is good advice. It's always, technically, if you are a part of a church, what I say, don't use your pastor. Absolutely. Those typically tend to be the easiest go-to, but I will always recommend too is outside of that though. If you want to go outside of your church, you need to be looking for a counselor that has the foundations of God, of the Lord, and actually not somebody that's of the world. And obviously that takes a lot more research and digging. And I would say too is that there's nothing wrong with counseling within your marriage, especially not at least within the first year, because there's a statistic that you don't ever get past the first year of your marriage, that you don't get past it. You pretty much, y'all end up divorcing within the first year. And unfortunately that statistic is true, but I'm most of a person where I'm trying to fight the statistic. And literally, like I said, did we do premarital counseling? Yes, but we didn't really do anything within the time of us being married. We didn't do any additional counseling, because in reality, the people that was counseling us was his mother and his father. That was who was counseling us, to be honest. So we didn't go to someone that had a license of a counselor, but they were actually counseling us, whether people knew it or not. Because I know that obviously people have certain opinions about us being there, but in reality, we were being counseled. That's what we were doing because there were still certain foundational aspects that still had to be developed. And obviously, when we decided, okay, we are leaving, we're actually going to leave outside of how we got to Texas or not. But once we got to a point where our backs were against the wall and we didn't have no choice but to pack up that car, pack up our 2 toddler kids, and drive literally from Florida all the way to Texas, that was the moment where we were put in a position to where everything that was instilled in us, now we have to implement it now we have to do it. And the reason why for me I keep going back to his parents' marriage is because that's what we know, that's what we witnessed being done under the eyes of following God in so many different ways, and how they went about the arguing, the this and the even the smallest of disagreements. Even because his mom, she was somebody that liked to saucy up her food. His dad was the complete opposite. There was still disagreements about that too. He's like, why you putting all that stuff on your food? There was even small disagreements about too. She's like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. He's like, but you can't be doing that. Like it was just like, and I'm making it sound sweet peaches and cream, but in reality, yes, there was disagreements even about the condiments that she was using. There was disagreements about so many little easy small little things.
When you were around somebody for that long, you would be surprised at what, like, I don't know, the most fun you just start just them taking a sigh, she gets annoyed by some of the most common things that I do. And at first, I used to get offended by it, but I don't say anything anymore because I realized that really is how long she's been around me for. And, that's how much we're around each other. So it's like, I'll be like, bro, what? I didn't even do it. And she'll be like, oh my gosh. Let's say I said, why you so loud for? I'm like, bro, I can't yawn. Common things. But then I think about it. I'm like, yo, she did something. Just before the camera cut on, she asked me if I did something while seeing that I did. She knew I did it. Okay, I had to clear off the desk to set up the camera. She asked me. She had the audacity to ask me, oh, babe, you cleared off, you put everything over here, you cleared off the I was like, you see I did it. You know I did. I'm the only person who was in here. You know I did. Why are you asking me that? And it's like, yo, you'll have, but it's so funny how that momentum of familiarity will cause stuff like that to be bigger than it really is. And that really... Now I understand. I don't want to undermine people's problems and stuff like that, but that really is majority of marriage for the rest of your life. The most common, it's so small. You got over the big things, and you'll find these little things get on your nerves way more. The lint is more annoying. You know what I'm saying? Than the stitching, It's just lint, though, bro. It's lint. It's not that big of a deal. I promise life is never that serious.
But even then, even with the lint, it should never turn around. Truthfully, it shouldn't even drastically go to become the biggest to the biggest issue. It technically it shouldn't. It shouldn't. I mean, there's so many petty things where it's technically for us, you would think that we actually you would think that we are blowing it up, but in reality we not. Now don't get it twisted though. There are times when he could blow it up though. This guy. But I just baby.
I'm listening. I'm not gonna retaliate. I'm just listening. This is a video for them. This ain't benefiting me. You talking to them. Now I mean, go ahead. I don't give it. I don't care. This is for them. What pacifist? I don't care. Go ahead, talk to them. Okay.
But in the end, I mean, either way, unfortunately, you're not gonna not argue, or not necessarily argue, but you're not going to have any disagreements. You're going to happen. When you have kids, you're going to have a disagreement about potty training. You're going to have a disagreement about
I was going to say that. Damn, you keep stepping in front of me. If you're arguing now, when the kids come, cause I'm going to be honest with you, the kids is way more of a game changer than the marriage is.
Yep.
I don't understand. I'm going to say this to men. We have, especially in this, day and age, we have this stigmatism of marriage is pointless. It benefits the women more than it benefits us. Yet still, y'all will have baby mothers. Linda, listen to me, Linda. The kids is way more legally binding, way more frustrating, changes the relationship way more than the marriage does. On all levels. It don't matter what it is. Y'all will not marry her, but you'll give her a child. It's like, well, why we gotta get married? We've been together. We know we love each other. It's just a piece of paper. We don't gotta do that. What do we care what other people think?
And
but you'll have a child.
And the ironic part about it is, I have recently started to see this whole conversation pop up about marriage in the Christian community. Open up that Bible. I've been seeing a lot of people in the Christian community bring up marriage a lot more than people who are not even Christians or call themselves Christians. I've been seeing that conversation pop up a lot more frequently within the Christian community of, why are we getting married? And then to the point that you are questioning the marriage. Because I've been seeing people question marriage, talking about, but in the Bible, this is how, in the Bible also tells you to abide by the law of the land that you are in. And right now, the land that we are in the states that we are in, the cities that we are in, they have laws. The government has laws. Like, it's not just about a piece of paper, gang. It is not. Because at the end of the day, if you are not, because you, first of all, you shacking up, not being married, that is not ordained by God. God doesn't even acknowledge it, and it says it in his word. He don't acknowledge it. He don't.
But again, back to that statement. Why are you scared? Why are you more frightened of getting married to her than you are of having a child with her? I don't understand it.
And stop letting
Gosh.
misrepresentations of marriage determine on how you view marriage. Gosh. Because how do you know?
Okay, but not misrepresentation of marriage. Let it change your ideal of marriage, right? Mm-hmm. But some of y'all didn't even have good representation of parenting. Yet still you keep getting women pregnant. What? My point is the kids change everything. They're okay. Yes, some of y'all are not married, but you have kids.
I guarantee you, a handful of y'all, or more than a handful of y'all that clicked on this video.
The kids, bro. Listen, it happens on a daily basis. Every day, there's a new divorce, and a lot of the times, yes, finances can definitely be one of the top leading problems. But it ain't just finances. If you ignore kids, that's insane. A lot of relationships change. Moms start acting different. Dads start feeling a different level of responsibility. Like the atmosphere changes when that other person comes in. When that little one comes in, it changes everything. Your relationship could go so well. Your marriage could go so well. And the moment a child is born, you start to not recognize the person that you're with. And if you don't have this, sound doctrine, dog, in your mind, it's, well, then I must need a divorce. No. In fact, when a child, I feel like you should pray more when there's a child involved than you should pray for marriage.
What? Listen, not only that, a lot of y'all want to be, and then I know that there's a few of y'all that are probably like, I'm single right now, but I want to get married, and I wanted to, you click on this video. Listen, let me explain something to you.
Motherhood is way different than being a wife.
Let me explain something to you. Instead of praying for that man, or praying, and then even men praying for that woman, what you need to be praying for is the complete opposite. You need to be praying for the complete opposite. Because something that I picked up from Pastor Philip, because that's who we watch all the way from Texas. So, in one of his sermons, it wasn't last week, but it was the week before. But ironically enough, he did mention it again last week. He mentioned it again. But sometimes God wants you to be in that singleness. Sometimes you will be single until the time comes. Even if, or, for example, unfortunately, we may not even make it to the rapture. We may be gone before that because the world is just crazy. But sometimes that's just how God created your story. That is just how your story is.
Yeah, and don't let another person's opinion make you feel like, oh well, you failed, or I don't know, like you're lesser because you're not married. Because it's huge in church nowadays. Most churches nowadays, it's a hookup culture. Brother so and so don't got a wife. We just got a new female member of the church.
Now they trying to connect you with the other way. They trying to connect you with brother so and so. They trying to connect you with sister so and so. But at the end of the day, you need to, first of all, you need to be praying to God about everything related to your life, and you need to be asking. And when you are praying, you need to ask God to at least open up your eyes to his plan for you, and technically include you in that plan. Allow you to allow you to be included in that plan. You are included in that plan because the plan is for you, but you need to ask him to include you into that plan, so that way you are understanding what it is that understand the plan and the path that you are going down. Mm-hmm. But also, when you don't hear anything from God, don't just start be like, oh my God, he ain't saying nothing. But you still need to keep praying. You still need to keep being in your book.
Do you recall what I said to you though? What I said to you was my story before we got married, like before I even really met you. Mm-hmm. I said, and this basically shortens what she just said. My prayer was, at this point, Lord, let your will be done. I don't even think I have a will anymore. All I want is whatever is meant for me. Please don't let it pass me by. Don't let me get in the way of it. And that was my surrender prayer. And that right there, folks, like your surrender prayer is...
God view that different.
That is a different kind of prayer. Like, yeah, exchange prayer is another thing, but like you just surrendering, submitting, it's a different thing. That prayer gets answered a lot faster the moment you just come to a moment of, you know what, putting my hands up and just letting it that's a different kind of prayer. I'm gonna use a corny example. So recently I've always watched, animal videos and stuff like that, but the main thing I watch is like, pets. I watch cat videos. I'm weird. I watch dog videos especially. I like husky videos. I love watching huskies. But I just recently got back into the habit of watching Caesar Milan and watching how he deals with dogs and stuff like that. And one of his main point is that it's a mindset thing. It's a mental thing. You can even physically control the dog, but if you don't get into the brain, all of that is in vain. Yep. So it doesn't matter how big, you could be stronger than the dog, but are you stronger than the dog's mental state of mind? If you can control the mental state of mind, if you can get onto it before it gets there, you know what I'm saying? Before, like, you got the dog under submission right then and there. And so, what I've come to realize is, like, the main thing that Caesar tries to go for in the dog is its submission state. Yep. When you call and you're like, she keeps biting, and I don't know, they keep humping or they keep doing whatever it is that they're doing. They're aggressive. They bark every which way. The first thing he does is he meets the dog and he starts, like, it's a mental thing. And so I feel like God does the same thing to us. We're no different. We're anxious about the bills or about women or about men or about marriage, about whatever it is. And that's all that's on our mind. And we're so excited. We're so anxious for the next raise and whatever. Like, it's so easy for everything to just distract you. And God is constantly, like, you know what I'm saying, giving you that correction every time you need it. And the moment you just reach that, all right, God, you got it. that prayer is way different. Not saying to literally say that, of course, but I'm saying like in every situation when you just reach to just, God, I can't do nothing about this. When you realize that it's out of your control, because ironically we were just talking about that. When you feel like you got when like you literally feel like you're in control, like you're doing everything,
but you're not.
You ain't doing it. God is the one in control. God is in control. He is the one. Like you're not in control of nothing. You're not in control of not a dang thing. He's the one in control. And when you finally realize that, brother, sister, your life gets so much easier. And so that's the same with marriage. If you realize, you know what I'm saying?
Every step leading up to the marriage. Every step within your first few years in your marriage. Even for the rest of your marriage. Like, just know that if you are not keeping God at the forefront, then yes, you are in control of it. But if you are genuinely keeping God at the forefront, every chapter, every page that gets turned, whatever it is that you were going through, God is the one that is controlling it. Period. But when it comes to the disagreements and the arguments, in reality, it's so easy for us to what the devil is. But the thing is, the devil doesn't do what God doesn't say he can do. Because if you read Job, the devil was trying to be like, okay, yeah, and God said, okay, do it and find out. Good, do it and find out. Because in the end, when the devil first of all, the devil was trying to pretty much be God. let's just call it a spade. He was sitting there and trying to get other people to turn away from following God, the one who actually, which is ironic because he's the one that gave them life in heaven in the first place. So that's kind of crazy. But anyways, look at there are times. I hate to break it to you. And this is what a lot of people like to bring up. Oh, because why did God allow it? Because God can. Period. Because he can. And he will. He can, he will, and a lot of the times, which a lot of people don't want to admit, but yeah, he does test you, bro. He tests you. I hate to break it to you, but he does. Because he wants to see, are you going to stop worshiping him? Are you going to stop praising him? Are you going to stop thanking him? Are you going to stop going to him? Are you going to stop praying? Are you going to stop picking up that Bible and reading it? He's going to do it. That's just what it is. That's just what it is.
But it always falls in the line of just getting you to submit. If submission is what you're not, if submission is not your thing, you're gonna be tested a lot. You can have as many things where, you know what I'm saying, I don't know. It all goes back to submission. And that is where I will say,
and I would always recommend submit your marriage.
If you feel like, but no, that's what I was gonna say. If you feel like marriage is pointless, or if you reach somewhere in your battlefield state with your spouse and you feel like, yeah, marriage is pointless. If you ever have that thought, what I'll say against that is, I feel like there is a point in marriage, because one thing marriage is gonna teach you is how to submit. Trying to have a forever thing with someone is going to teach you to submit. It's going to teach you how to humble yourself. You're going to have to humble yourself to this person for the rest of your life, and vice versa. You see what I'm saying? Marriage is a humbling experience, and it teaches you how to submit. It brings you further, along the lines of following God. It brings you closer to God. God acknowledges you more, in that sense, because it teaches you submission. And a lot of us, that is where we struggle at. We struggle on how to submit. We're ahead of ourselves, and we're in the way. A lot of the times, the devil doesn't even have to do anything because you did it for him. Mm-hmm. And, a lot, like, we are some of our biggest
roadblocks.
You got to get out of your way at some point. Like, I understand how easy it is to get distracted and to, get nervous or anxious or whatever, but you gotta submit. Your wife is gonna teach you, brother, how to submit. If your mother wasn't enough to teach you how to submit, I promise you, your wife gonna teach you how to submit, and vice versa. And some of y'all females is just as stubborn, but it don't matter. That your spouse, if you keep God at the center of that, You know what I'm saying? If you make God the center of that, it's gonna teach you how to submit. It's gonna teach, man. A lot of us, we're learning now how to submit. Our title this year, submit. Like, and we're getting better at that. But I'm not gonna lie, as you know, us being married and as we keep walking through life together, we're learning new ways to submit. You know, we're changing, we're evolving, but a lot of it is we're getting a dependency. You know what I'm saying? Our dependency, instead of talking amongst ourselves, like, what are we going to do? Because a lot of the times, our most common answer between each other is, I don't know. We say I don't know a lot about everything. About eating, about where we going, about everything. We never know nothing. We some of the most useless people on this planet because we never know not a dang thing. It's always I don't know. Who to blame for that? I don't know, because I think it's about even. Like, we genuinely don't know nothing. Like, we some I don't know ninjas. Like, we never know nothing. It's always I don't know. But that's, it's a good thing. You know, most people will tell you that it's wrong and that means that God ain't in your life or you ain't following God. But sometimes
it ain't meant for you to know.
It ain't meant for you to know. Because some of y'all, the moment you learn a thing or two,
y'all keep trying to do just that.
And not even just that. All some of y'all need is breadcrumbs. And you see breadcrumbs and that, like, you start run. Like, you get further than you was before you even got the little detail. So, being able to say I don't know, it's a start. It's a start to the progress. Being able to, clicking on this video and acknowledging that you don't know, it's a start.
Because you got here.
Yeah, like, saying I don't know is a good thing. You have to acknowledge I don't know. If you keep going, which is back to my point earlier, if you constantly think, man, I'm right, she's wrong, and vice versa, no. A lot of the times, when you just submit, we talk about submission in a negative light. And that, back to my point of my mother, that's how I feel like a lot of people talk about her. It's like, oh, she just submitted, so she became weaker. But no, my mom actually, as I watched my mom as I was growing up, I felt like she got stronger each day. Submission is not a weak thing.
And she submitted up until that day.
She submitted. Her day, the day was submission.
The day was her final submission. The final thing that God wanted her to do, that that he wanted her to submit.
It was submit.
And she submitted.
You have to that's gonna be the title of this video, actually. Submit. That's the point. Submit. Marriage will teach you how to submit. Because you have to submit. That's why I say don't
that's
just
right. When you think about
stop getting the women pregnant. Stop getting pregnant. Stop opening your legs. Stop having sex before learning the art of submission. Y'all gotta submit to each other before this child is born. I don't care about your marriage.
Question past the. How we get on the kids and we was just talking about disagreement?
Because kids cause a lot of disagreements. If you arguing about him leaving, not cleaning up or picking up after himself or leaving the toilet seat up, and you arguing about her not doing something that you just felt like should be common sense even though you didn't vocalize that, if them little baby things is always, if that is all it takes to put y'all egos up against each other,
then you in a word of hurt. So basically the moral of the story is that when there's disagreements, whatever it is, submit.
Watch this. If you don't submit at your job, you fired. But you'll submit though. You will submit. It don't matter. Like, this ain't a gender thing. Everybody try to make things a gender thing. We're all guilty. It's not male against female, female against male. No, it ain't none of that. You have to submit at your job. That's the problem. You submit where you have to, but you notice the places that you choose to submit at, it benefits you.
Yeah. So
what I see it like is you don't see a point in submitting. You don't see a point in submitting to God. You don't see a point in submitting to your spouse. You don't see a point in... When you don't see a point in submitting, it shows. Unruly, rebellious people, you can smell them from a mile away. You know when somebody, because you probably shouldn't be around that person, but you sense it. It's an aura. It's you feel it. Unruly spirits, you sense them. But folks, y'all, that gotta go. You gotta learn how to submit. And why I'm talking about kids to what you just asked me is because that, let's call a spade. That's what comes nowadays, especially. I'm not even gonna say nowadays. In human nature, we try to put that before the marriage. A lot of the people watching this already had that before the marriage. Somehow the marriage thing gets skipped, or let's say it is. But what I'm saying is, y'all gotta get. I'm praying to just submit, man. Because when the reason why I'm so heavy on the kids part is because you're sometimes, and we've seen it in the Bible, the child had more of an impact than the parent ever did. So I hate to say it, but some of the things you're praying about, it ain't even gonna be you who finished that. It might not even be you who accomplishes it, but you know who probably will? Your child. You have to. You gotta get it right. You have to get it right. So I'm thinking from that perspective because we see what it looks like. We see what it looks like when the kid comes first. When the kid comes first in something unbalanced and unstable, you gotta get it right, man. Because marriage does not equal balance. It does not. You can be married and still unbalanced. I want y'all to get the submission thing right. It has to be taught. Some of you are not married yet. Some of you are of age and you're like, man, I ain't married yet. What's wrong? And it's like,
sometimes there's things that God wants you to do before that could even happen. Or that's just what it is for you. I mean, period. Like, there's really not, like, if that's, like, there's two things. Either that's just how God has ordained your life to be, so you are not going to be someone who is going to be married, or you can't get married until you what? Everybody say it with me. Submit. Because in the end, everything about your life, especially when God is involved, it is about submission.
But some of you are not married yet, and I'll be honest, because I don't want to. This is a broad, like. Some of y'all aren't married, and I know you're frustrated because you're not yet. But y'all by default have that submission tactic. Like, I know a lot of women, especially, because most of the time it's called spade. It's a woman who's looking for a mate. But I know some very obedient, God-fearing single women. But I do know what it looks like when those same submissive, unmarried, God-fearing women get married. Sometimes the marriage, it's like it erases everything that they've learned. So it's like they've lived their entire life unmarried, and then now the moment the marriage factor comes in, the thing that they was praying so long for, it finally comes. They don't know how to.
Because they were praying about the wrong thing.
That too.
Because you can be praying for the wrong thing. Because you're too busy praying to be married, but you're not praying you're praying to get married, but you're not praying to keep God first. You're not praying for that. And when I say you're not praying to keep God first, because in reality, no matter what it is, at the end of the day, God comes before every person in your life, period. He does. And when you are going through a certain stage, or even currently, and actually not even going through a certain stage, but where you are right now, for those of you that are not, like I said, you can probably be engaged right now. That's cute. But in the end, you need to be praying to God on how to maintain and how to submit to Him, and giving you the wisdom and the knowledge. That's what you need to be praying for. You also need to be praying for Him to give you discernment as well, right? And once you start changing the foundation of how you are praying, then everything that comes after that will be completely different. But the problem is that a lot of the times we get so caught up on I just want to be married. When are we getting married? And or we're engaged, we're not married yet. Or now you're in the first couple of years of your marriage, and there's all these little things that are going on in your marriage because you were praying to God for that person. You were praying to God to finally get down that aisle, but you weren't praying for God for everything else that's supposed to occur before that. You didn't pray to God for the wisdom. You didn't pray to God, because when you gain wisdom, then you're going to gain knowledge. And then when you don't have the fear of the Lord, then you are going to just be doing the complete opposite to what it is that He has placed into your life. And if you don't even know how to submit yourself onto the Lord, then how can you expect for Him to sit there and give you the very thing that you have been going to Him asking for Him for, if you can't even submit to Him? So He's going to be looking at you like, how you going to keep asking me for something when I'm telling you to follow me and you ain't even following me? You're not doing what it is that I told you to do. How can you sit there and expect for Him to turn around and bless you? How can you expect for Him to turn around and bless your marriage? And blessing you and blessing your marriage isn't the physical thing, because in the eyes of the Lord, when you are together as one, when you bring you and your spouse before God, then you are presented differently in front of God, period. So if you cannot even submit to God for the little things, then how can you expect for it to carry over into the big things? So if you were sitting here like, dang, you done talk to me, child, I know I did, because at the end of the day, that's just what it is. If you can't even submit to God for the little things, then how can you expect for Him to turn around and do the thing, to give you the things that it is that you were asking for? And then how can you expect for Him to allow you to walk down that aisle, period? How can you expect Him to sit there and say you like this? How can you expect for your marriage to be different if you can't even submit to God to begin with?
Well, submission is really the point of this video.
How can you ask God, I want to stop arguing with my wife and I want to stop arguing with my husband? How can you go to Him, but I want to stop, but He's sitting here telling you how to do it and you ain't even doing it?
Listen, vulnerability. I understand submission is talked about like it's a weakness, and it's like as weak as you can possibly get. Women hear it, get offended. Men hear it and like, why the hell should I have to? I understand. It's like nobody wants to take that submissive point. But again, going back to our faith, we worship someone who submitted and had every reason not to.
Because do you think he wanted? He wanted to
listen,
die on that cross
every day?
Like really speaking, do you really think that the real Him really? Do you really believe that he?
Listen, I understand that. You don't feel like there's a point. That's what it all falls down to. We don't see the point in submitting, and but that is the point. If you want to stop arguing, if you want to stop submitting. Now, I don't mean to just not have a spine.
Yeah, like that's not what it means.
You see what I'm saying? But there's a certain way that you
listen, can.
That's why. But that is why you pray. That's why you pray without ceasing. Y'all don't be praying enough. You gotta pray, because when you submit to God and you pray your submission to God, when someone who's not God fearing will look at you like you're weak, you know what I'm saying? The ones who know, the real will recognize it. The ones who are lurking and are searching for Him, they'll recognize what you did came from a place of strength. And if the person that you married is God fearing, they'll realize, and that right there, they'll want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of contagious. You know, if I feel like my wife has submitted, I'ma submit too. And at first, it might be from a position of, oh, well, I guess.
Or sometimes it can be the opposite. Sometimes as a wife, when you see your husband submit, then you're going to want to submit too.
Submit, it has to happen. You got to be vulnerable.
Somebody got to do it.
Somebody has to do it. And sometimes it just does. That is where the wrong and right conversation comes back, where the two wrongs don't make a right. Sometimes it just does take even just one right. Sometimes even just one of y'all submitting makes the canvas look a lot better. So you got to learn how to submit. You got to see a point in it. I don't know if we could sit here and talk about the point in it. If you don't know, then I don't know. But it's like it becomes so much easier. Submitting does not mean that you don't have a spine. Submitting does not mean that you don't have a voice. Submitting does not mean that you don't have an impact and you're taking a lesser seat, and that means like you're not as dominant, you're not as important.
Submitting means that like that's not like
it's
that's
strength.
like
it's strength. You got to think about it. it's easy for us, especially nowadays. We got terms for everything now. We got the term crash out. You know what I'm saying? We got, all of a sudden, people using the word crash out. They don't even know what it means. You know what I'm saying? But that's a new term. We got a new term for everything. I could go down the term. You know, we call it YN, we call it this, whatever it is. Anything that just doesn't have anything to live for, just on the brink of just losing it. It's just, yeah. And I understand, y'all, but that's the easiest thing. That's what going to your human nature looks like. To have a Christ-like nature, to have a Christ-like mind, it means doing what you don't want to do. And a lot of the times that's submitting. I know it's not the first option, but it actually makes life easier. You want to know something? Life is hard whether you're following Christ or not, but Christ promises that he will be with you at all times. And
I will never leave you nor forsake you.
And so what you got to understand is, you know that there's going to be times, you know, you don't have the money for the bill. You know there are going to be times when you and your wife argue, or you and your husband argue. You know sometimes your kids are going to get on your nerves, whatever. You know these things are going to happen, but that life submission, that guilt-free, because that's the other thing. Submitting, it frees the guilt. Living life with no guilt, period, knowing that you gave it your all, that you gave it your best, that is way more freeing. That brings your heart way more joy. That makes the frustrations of life feel way more tolerable. Knowing that after all this, because I'm going to deal with it regardless no matter what I do. But in all of this, I did my best. Like, I did it. Nobody had to tell me to do it. You know what I'm saying? You got siblings, and your mother or your father comes on you for cleaning up. A lot of our first instincts would be, well, why don't such and such? Why don't she got to do it? If you just submit and you do what you got to do, your parents can't get on you. Now, I know a lot of times they still will, you know what I'm saying? But just do what you got to do. Worry about you. It ain't about what everybody else. So even if you don't want to submit to your wife, you don't want to submit to your spouse, you know what I'm saying, for their benefit, do it for your benefit. Just submit. I promise. Life ain't really that serious. It's really not. If you just, cool. That's really what it is. You're not weak because of that. Stop making submission sound weak. It's not. You can't claim you're a Christian and have a rebellious spirit. It's not how it works. If y'all claim y'all want to have a Christ-like mind and y'all constantly arguing, it don't work that way. So we need to come back to a position of submitting. We need to come back to a position of, you know what I'm saying, just compromising and trying to make peace. Blessed are the peacemakers. That right there. I don't even need it. Blessed are the peacemakers. That's your point. For they shall be called. Okay. So that's what you gotta do. Guys, we gonna, I feel like we said everything that needed to be said. You had anything else to say?
Nope.
Look, y'all, if y'all like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Tell us if you liked how long the video was. We'll keep doing it just like this for y'all. I don't got nothing else to say.
Or if y'all want more videos like this, not on a specific topic, but more videos like this.
So yeah, guys, we'll see you guys in the next one. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on the post notifications so you're notified the next time we upload a video. But until next time,
peace.
goodbye.